I did have more lights. Yeah, I got burnt out. I got burnt out. And we're back live with the passing show on Harrowings, live with Hal Gill, your host. And so far we have just me. Already have Derek Holzer, Bold Insight, also joining. Good to have you. Bruce Nelson's joined. And this little live segment is just who, what, when, and where, a little raw journalism and primary documentation for historians of the future, potentially. We're crossing, I think, 31st Street Northwest here in Washington, D.C., in Georgetown, just outside of Shalimar Lounge. Just been at the AMC Theaters in Georgetown, watching the Grateful Dead movie for the Meetup at the Movies annual event. This time, IMAX version of the Grateful Dead movie from 1974, Winterland. Directed by Jerry Garcia. And we have just passed the 30th anniversary of his death, August 9th, 1995. So that sort of completes the days between. Making my way uphill. Hear the click of my umbrella. It's raining pretty good earlier. And, well, it's humid as heck in Washington, D.C. as a result. Crossing the C&O Canal. It's a canal boat. High and dry. Down below. I don't think you can see that very well, but there it is. We also have Lost 500. Hello, Melanie S. Good to have you. Who, what, when, and where? Watch Crime Road in the city, they call it. But the White House? But I don't think so. I mean, there is crime, but it's not nearly as bad as they make it out to be. But I don't know if our protesters got back down to 16th Street tonight. Last night they were down there. There's Free DC Project.org available, signing up for the protest information. I haven't checked it yet. I signed up earlier today after watching a little bit of the YouTube, which you can also find on my post from this morning. When I got up, I suggested a quiet revolution and that we should be mindful of our spending and do a lot of, somebody pointed out making your own stuff. Somebody was saying they make their own personal care products, taking the funds out of the hands of places like Procter & Gamble. And, we can do that. We can support small vendors, local business. It can be the change we want to see in the world. So I highly recommend doing that. Being mindful that every cent we spend is a vote for the kind of world that we are collectively co-creating. If you don't like it, change it. We are not trees. We are mobile and have the ability to be out here in the world affecting change. And that's sort of what I want to get on about here. It's affecting positive change and redetermining what's positive, what's negative. And everything's interconnected. So the more you're mindful of your actions, the more you'll have an understanding of whether you're at the law of unintended consequences working against you. You do have to be careful not to become the thing that we are protesting and instituting fascism from the left, as well as fascism from the right. We're all one tribe, one species, and we have impacts on other species. I should be mindful of that as well. Green the place up, protect other species. It's all possible. There's some exceptions we make, like smallpox virus. We don't want to necessarily support smallpox virus. It's one of the oldest houses in Georgetown. Ever hear of the stone house? I have to take people on little historical tours too. I don't know everything about it, but you know some things. Can share them as I make my way from dawn to dusk. And in this case, dusk to dawn. It's about 10 o'clock in the evening, Washington, D.C., 10:14 to be precise. And yeah, if you have questions or want to weigh in on anything that I'm saying, feel free. I can read your comments pretty easily at night. And y'all are along for my ride. Not the fastest. You know, I'm 62. I'm carrying around a few extra pounds, which I'm working on getting rid of. I have had some success in the past. I've allowed myself to inflate here late. I found rhymes. Sometimes I add a little song into the mix. Did that on the 114-minute passing show done after my office hours this morning. Office hours were held at Emissary Pergamino on 20th Street. So about 10 blocks from here, several blocks up. So I'm on M now, and that's on 20th between R and S Streets, northwest. Turn up on 30th here. Walk uphill a bit. Might take Q over once I get there. That's a little stretch. Got to cross N, O, P, and then I'll be a Q. Right? L, P, Q. Yeah, that's right. I know my alphabet. In Washington, D.C., that's helpful. Okay. Lee joined. Hi. Good to have you with us. That's 6 people. Besides me. Oh, saxophone music behind me. That's sweet. Mainly you're hearing the click of my umbrella. This helps me up the hill. Really humid. And incredibly so. A lot of stately places along 30th Street. If I remember right. Let's see. Coming up on in. Passing Olive. I'll be passing RFK Jr.'s house. Cheryl Hines had him buy a place. Keep an eye on him. Here in D.C. I think it's on 30th. Can't remember. Might have been 31st. I forget which number. My wife was paying attention to this. She also noticed that on 30th, past Massachusetts, so quite a bit further up, across on the other side of Oak Hill Cemetery, Mark Zuckerberg bought a place. So we have some pretty Tony neighbors. And in D.C., S Street Northwest, in the 2300 block, has a double mansion owned by Jeff Bezos. So, you know, the bros, the techno bros, they're here close to the halls of power. I understand that something, Larry Ellison was merging with CBS, with Paramount. No, it was something else. I have to go check that out. Anyway, it's all good. Keep on moving. Stand and wait. crossing 30th. Let's get on the other side here at N, straight northwest and onward. You know, real estate here is a pretty penny. But even a cat may look at a king. I don't know if you ever heard that saying before. It appeals to me as I walk about. I'm the cat, not the king. This is the colonial. Look at that exposed brick, very pretty. The colonial was erected in 1870 and was restored in 2024. It's occupied between 1826 and 1861 by Miss Lydia English's Georgetown Female Seminary. After the Union forces' defeat at the First Battle of Bull Run, the building was repurposed as an Army General Hospital. So that's something to think about. The hospitals that were all over D.C. during the Civil War, taking care of the Union. Georgetown was raided by the Rockbridge Dragoons, 14th Virginia Cavalry, Company H, back in the Civil War, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to fact check myself on that. My great-great-grandfather served in that unit as a Confederate. But I'm also 1/4 Long Island stock in the 17th century. My grandmother, Magna Carta Dame, is from Long Island. She was born in Fayette Shore. Her family settled there sometime in the 17th century. So we're a good mix of Americans. My great-great-great-great-grandfather, Jones Gill, served at the Battle of Yorktown. He was a private soldier in the Virginia militia for Charles City County and part of the Continental Line there. Under Matt Anthony Wayne during the battle, would have been under Thomas Nelson, but Thomas Nelson was on sick leave at the time. No, small wonder, because his house was being shelled in Yorktown. And, it was a rough go. And we won on our independence from Great Britain with that battle. We wouldn't secure it until the Treaty of Paris in 1783. And, of course, it took a while to get the Constitution nailed down. But learn your history, folks. And don't let us be steered around by the nose by people with power. We have power if we just exercise it. We have to organize and be unified in our ways if we want change. So we have to determine what side we're on here. I'm on the side of humanity, peace, love, and understanding. Nothing much funny about that, as Elvis Costello once pointed out. So peace, love, understanding, compassion, cooperation, trump competition, and trying to rise to the top of the heap. We're all equal in the eyes of the one, I believe. And that one is love. God is love. So I've said a lot. Has anybody said anything back? No? Oh, well. Doesn't matter. I can monologue with the best of them. If you do want to say something, you can. If you're still there watching and listening to the passing show, click along. A lot of clicks to go. So I'm on 21st and S, about to turn, not on P, but on Q. Well, I don't know, I'm debating it. I could turn on P Street. It's Morgan's drugstore. They got something down there. I knew it was a COVID shot. Vaccine. steamy. My God, it's steamy. Yep. I'm going to make it at least a little ways down this way. They're rising up. English basement level apartments. Kind of cute. Somebody's got their Tesla here. We're charging it up, right? Yep. Plugged it in. Another Tesla across the street. A lot of them about. Some orchids growing in the window there. It's cooler inside, apparently, because there's a lot of condensation on the windows. Not so much of that house. Across the way, blinds are open. See some built-in bookcases, it looks like. I always like to see what's on people's bookcases, you know? See what they've been reading. It's good to have books. Real gaslights here frame the entrance to this rather beautiful house. Love gaslights. I don't like being gaslighted, but I do like gaslights. Remember, before electricity, but all these lamps around here, street lights too, would be gaslights. That's something to think about, artificial lighting. Have a good book on the subject. Wagner's Chemistry, I think. Anyway, it's a German book of all kinds of industrial stuff. And I like it. Reminds me of many things related to my conservation technician days. It's a big tree. There's so many figs on it. They've been picked over. Magnolia. Across the way, there's Stikowski's butcher shop. Long-standing. I don't actually go to butcher shops. Not into eating meat that much. You consume a fair amount of dairy and eggs, but not so much meat. More or less plant-based these days. Woo, warm. Gotta get out of the heat. Gotta get to my air conditioning. I think I just passed 33rd Street on T. Getting admiring the fronts of these mostly early 1900s buildings, some probably dating from earlier than that. These frame buildings across the way, for instance, are probably a little earlier. I should look, see sometimes, get some more information about the construction. Left foot in front of right foot, making our way from cradle to grave. Everyone is, so far, heading for one destination, the other side of the veil. Here now, we get an opportunity to play through creation. And again, recommend people be mindful about their spending. Every cent spent is a vote for the kind of world we are co-creating as Homo economicus. And not spending is a wonderful idea too. Doing it ourselves, being our own makers. You know, historically, I mean, long history, people had to make everything themselves. Their brains were pretty big as a result of needing to know how to do a lot of stuff and manipulate materials in ways that we don't have to do generally in modern technological society. So people are evolving smaller brains they used to have, is what I've understood. I don't know, fact check me on that, but I think statistically it's true. We're devolving rather than becoming smarter, but we are outsourcing our intelligence. Here's a Waymo, for example. This will outsource driving. It has a driver in it because DC law requires it, but they can drive themselves now, pretty much. Now, this way would take me up to Q. This way will take me down across the bridge and to my neighborhood eventually from Georgetown, which we'll be leaving soon. I think that'll be all right. We'll probably take Florida up like I came down that way. I could have come along Rose Park, but it's dark, and I think it's probably a little dangerous. There's a barber shop, Saggart Studio. You have to watch your step along here because the bricks are a little uneven. Just a little. Dry cleaners. Document it, document it for historians of the future. What the weather was like. What antiques there's sale here. A lot of things, eh? Not everything what I want, but here's what it is. Yeah, life goes on. Life goes on. I think a lot about history and family and do my best, have done my best to be a good human being. Not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but trying to share my insights and perspectives. I have a lot of ignorance about a lot of things, but I can learn from conversations with you all. See, we have Mary. Hey, thanks for the night tour. Where are you walking to? I'm going home, Mary. Thank you for joining. And Chester B joined as well. So, yeah, I'm heading for my house on S Street Northwest. I'm leaving the AMC theaters in Georgetown, where I've been watching the Grateful Dead movie in IMAX. That's a new thing. The movie itself came out in 1974. The IMAX restaging of it, so to speak, brand new in 4K resolution. So it's great. Seeing the Dead perform what they thought would be maybe their last concerts at Winterland just is really kind of nice. They, of course, were wrong about that. They went on for another 11 years. No more. They're 21 years till Jerry Garcia died on August 9th, 1995. 30 years and 4 days ago. If he'd lived, he'd have been, 83? Yeah, that's right. And, the Grateful Dead's 60th anniversary was being celebrated at Golden Gate Park. I couldn't go to that, so we did this instead and did some Grateful Dead related stuff over at the Hamilton Live on the 7th, 8th, and 9th. English Town Project was on the 7th, and that was really good. The 8th was a little spoiled for me, by some people who were hogging the best tables. But I could have gone up to the bar. I didn't. I got a pretty crappy location for watching the band play. It was Jackie Green and Friends. Graham Lesh was supposed to be fronting the band, but Jackie Green opening. But Graham had to stay on the left coast for some family reasons. Family first. I appreciate that. And I first caught Graham playing at the Ardmore Music Hall in 2016 when I went up for the second day of Unlimited Devotion, a Saturday, where we did a screening of the Wavy Gravy movie, Saint Misbehavin', which was beautiful, very uplifting. If you don't know who Wavy Gravy is, well, he's a counterculture clown of sorts. And while I was there, I entered a raffle at the Mainline Arts Center and won it. So I'm wearing this really nice Breitling transition chronograph as a result. I'll never have a phone or watch like that. So, yeah, I try to do all I can to amplify signals through the noise of cyberspace. My signal is that peace, love, and understanding are really important. Compassion, cooperation, and our species is needed. Every cent spent is a vote. We should get into trying to influence things in the direction we want them to go, as opposed to taking our pleasure and our comfort by glutting ourselves with, the things we glut ourselves with. I could stand to follow my own recommendation. Start at home and keep going. Keep going. We can weather the storm, the nonsense being shoveled by the media and our politicians feeding that media do not have to drive us to distraction. Although I think there are a lot of people who do get driven to distraction. I know a few of them. I have compassion for them. But I know a lot of times, at least in my case, my problems are between my ears, more so than anywhere exterior. And it's all in how I look at things. All things tend towards the greater good. St. Paul said that in Romans 8:28, if I remember correctly. I'll look that up, fact check it one of these days. Maybe I'll work it into one of my posts. Like I posted this morning about the supposed mass demonstrations out on 16th Street. There were a lot of people that turned out, and there is a thing called freedcproject.org. People to sign up and organize and keep informed. So I've done that. I do think it's better to fight for things rather than against them. There's an old line about resist not evil. I've trumpeted that a little bit today. I enjoy getting some response and reaction. And, I'm not wed to it. I don't require it. But I do enjoy the fact that other people's brains might actually be put into motion. We gotta think about the consequences of our actions before we act, and then act with efficiency and effectiveness. I think most of us are on autopilot a good bit of the time. I know I am. I can't really speak for anybody but myself in that regard, but I do not stay conscious all the time of the effects of what I'm doing. In this case, broadcasting out into cyberspace in hopes that other people pick up what I'm laying down. In the hip vernacular of Lord Buckley, when I lay it down, it stays there. Sometimes it's very true. It stays there and nobody picks it up. But when they do, then they amplify my signal. We can have positive impact on others. Positive, negative, who's to say, right? There is no good or bad, but thinking makes it so, Shakespeare observed. Hamlet. Hamlet is rich with stuff like that. I ought to go back and read Hamlet again. Another thing that's really rich is Wilhelm Meister's Leria, The Apprenticeship of Wilhelm Meister by Goethe, which is kind of a coming-of-age novel. It really is sort of semi-autobiographical. And, it's worth reading. His Wanderjahre or journeyman years are also out there. You should dig into that again. I used to read Faust in German as well. Faust, of course, consumed most of Goethe's life. Immer streben, sich bemüht, ihm können wir retten. Thinks right. Something like that. The idea that whoever's striving exerts himself, that person can be saved. Say the angels, as they're taking Faust up to heaven and out of the clutches of Mephistopheles. Or if he had ever said, Verweile dich, du bist so schön, remain, you're just so beautiful. That is not a ticket for salvation. Never be satisfied. Always be striving for better, proving oneself. That was Goethe's message to us. In his 82 plus years, he managed to transmit that. Mehr Licht, his last words, more light. And the darkness fell on him. And he was snuffed out 1832, I think, right? I have to check that too. I don't remember if that's correct or not. But he and Schiller, you know, modeled the naive and sentimentalische Dichtung. Schiller. Goethe the naive, Schiller the sentimental. In between them, they were responsible for German classical literature, the classical period, leading into Romanticism. Or was it from Romanticism? Sturm und Drang, Storm and Stress literature, and into classicism. Oh, yeah. I used to know all that stuff. The realism period, later in the 19th century, Gerhard Hauptmann, Direct the Weavers, and so. Weber. And there's so many other wonderful pieces of literature, which I was exposed as I studied German at Randolph-Macon College and then University of Pittsburgh. I think my education at Randolph-Macon was somewhat better as an undergraduate than my education at the University of Pittsburgh. I had a lot of professors there who were not very happy. It seemed to me, soon enough, their graduate program was cut. So not getting any new graduate students. Last I heard, their offices have moved from the 14th floor to God knows where. I don't know. I don't know where to go. I think I can do this. See the green arrow up there. Oh yeah, gonna make it. Okay. Outside the Embassy of Estonia, they've just redone it. Nice building. Not too far from the Cosmos Club. Behind me, the Embassy of Luxembourg. Talked about that in my walk to Georgetown. And we still got 57% power, so I'm going to get home with this. Still the same characters, 8 total. And I looked in. I don't know how many are still with me. If you have questions, fire away. I'll try to watch for them every so often. Oh, nice balcony on that place. Up top, 2, 3 floors up over their English basement. Yeah, there's so many beautiful homes here. Oh boy. Hillier Court coming up. Elegant office space. Okay. Really hot and sticky out here, though. Hydrangeas in blossom. Onward. That's why I tend to wrap up my posts. The word onward. I don't know if the work I'm doing is going to stand the test of time or not. Hoping. That's my intent. Keeping the dead alive, you know? The Harold B. Gill Foundation has that intent. The first two are dead. My grandfather, 1907 to 1979. My father, 1933. Both born on January 16th. On those respective years, 1907, 1933. And my father passed in 2024 on April 7th at the age of 91 in a couple of months. I didn't quite make 3 months past his 91st birthday. He might have had I been down there. I don't know, I would have been able to size him up, see where he was at. I was planning to go down on April 3rd to see his palliative nurse and size up his care and prospectus. But she canceled and moved it back a week. By that time, he was a day away from his funeral. He'd been cremated. And my sister had the remains. She brought them to the church. We plopped them in the ground under a cross, an unmarked spot. But there's a little tag on the wall with his name on it in the years of his life. And I've got the Harold B. Gill Foundation, LLC, preserving and protecting his legacy to the extent I'm able, which is not great. My wife is not very happy right now with the fact that we don't have a strong income. We could have if all my subscribers were to pony up a little bit to support us. But for the most part, they were free, and that's okay. I'm not battening down the doors trying to beg for money. But people can pay for a subscription, which helps us a great deal. Probably more than you all realize. I don't know. I can get a day job too without much trouble, but have been in a state of reflection and in a state of creation, creative work. And yeah, I don't think I'm that lazy, really. I like to work. I just like to do the work I like to do. And at the moment, that's writing and talking to you guys, podcasting, philosophizing. I occasionally hit the rising philosophy Substack level. I've been 91 and 95 in the recent past. It's always exciting. I don't know if I'm flooding the Substack with too much material or not. Anyone can give me feedback anytime. And so far, I'm not getting a lot. Some. And I'm really grateful for that. Forming some relationships with people. We're going to have a new interview up. Harrowing's podcast with Kay Stoner tomorrow at 10 a.m. And I have arrived at my gated community. We're going to go up 3, 4, 5, 6. In the gate. Close the gate. Pull a bar across. And taking down a dead dogwood. So that's cluttering up the little space behind it beside our bench. It's leaning over on some wires behind the Embassy of Moldova here. No, there it is. And so it goes. Remember, every cent spent is a boot. And I'm going to end it here. Thank you for joining. Much appreciated.